Coach Mayper, welcome to the Football Excellence Podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be here.
Awesome. You're in Marshall, Texas right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
How's everything going down there?
That's good. I mean, like everybody else, we're isolated. Luckily, we're out in the country, so there's room to walk around and move and bike and exercise. So it makes it's peaceful. We had a bird in the house this morning. Left the window open, and there's a bird that woke us up about 6.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Are you living in the country, like country, or
Yeah, about
city?
10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes outside of town is a little small lake community.
Nice.
So it's a lot of retired people, so it's great. I mean, everybody, they're doing what they've always done. They work on the yards and hang out. So it's been peaceful.
Very cool. So you're in Marshall at East Texas Baptist University, head coach, Division III school. Coach, let's just get right into it. What is some of your coaching philosophies, some of your mottos, some of the things that you use to build team culture and to build great teams?
Well, when I got here, I think it changes with each place you go to. You got to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. And obviously everybody's trying to accomplish some type of unification. We had mentioned it on the shirt. I have Henitas. That's our purpose, to be unified as a team. Once you're unified, everybody starts moving in the same direction. It's like geese flying. You see them flying, they form the V. Well, the one's taking all the wind and the power coming at you. So, and when it gets tired, it falls to the back, and the other ones are a little less wind resistant. So it keeps them all moving in the same direction. So when we got here, the big thing was I was the 5th head coach in 5 years. Guys just had an opportunity to move. Some great coaches. Josh Orgel, who's at Kansas now, had a chance to go and be an offensive coordinator at D1 school. Wow. Then Scotty Walden is the receiver coach at Southern Miss, so he left. The next guy after that had some health issues, or his wife did, so he left. So there was not a bunch of relational continuity with players. So that was our biggest thing when we came in here. What's the biggest need we have? And I think you got to assess every situation as you go into it. So we got in here and said, basically, our doors are wide open. I mean, kids had never been in the head coach's office. They're like, oh, this is what it is. I said, y'all just come in. As long as the door's open, you guys come bother me. So that was our biggest thing, is just being relational. That was our underlying factor the first year. And as we went through it, then you start tweaking it and figure out what you need. For us to take that next step, we've always been in this conference. 5 years ago, they won the conference. There was a 3-way tie. Mary Baylor, which everyone's heard of, they were national champs this past year or the year before that. And then Hardin Simmons, who's a big powerhouse in Division III. So we've always kind of fallen behind them. That 1 year is a tie. So it's just getting confidence to go in there and beat them. So as we started growing our numbers, we were 60 the first semester I was here, 80. Now we're at 100 this spring. So we limit who we bring in. As far as numbers, we're not going to have just mass numbers. So the next thing we looked at was basically we're unified. Everybody's feeling the same thing, but now we got to empower the team. So we do different activities to empower the team. And basically this spring, until we had 3 weeks of spring ball before we got canceled, before spring break. And, any issue that arose, the players took care of it. It was great. I didn't have to punish anybody. They'd go, hey, coach, was such and such in class today? I'd look through my list. I said, nope. I said, you got to run this guy and this guy. And really it eliminated every issue.
Interesting.
A great book, the New Zealand All Blacks. I don't know if you read about them, the Legacy. Awesome book. You read it?
I heard that. No, I actually had a podcast yesterday and with Dante Warren, a coach at South Dakota, and he said that he brought up the same book. That's so funny. I got to read it.
It's awesome. And that's what they did. Basically, the team took over. They said, what needs to change? And basically, the team took over ownership, and that's kind of where we are right now. So I think every situation you have to assess it differently. But it all comes down to relationships. The players got to feel you love them, that you care for them, that you're here for them. That's the biggest thing.
Well, and how are you developing those leaders that are kind of running the show for you with their peers? Because I mean, that's the most important piece, right? Is having the guys to set that example who can let it trickle down amongst the program.
Right. When you in college, in the college level, obviously you have the ability to recruit. So, I mean, you have the ability to recruit leaders. And then, like you said, you could develop them. So some guys are just natural leaders as they come in. You just tell. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said this guy's just like the alpha. I mean, he walks in and everybody gravitates to him. He walks in and they say, "Hey, be quiet," and the whole room's quiet. So you got some of those guys that are natural born leaders. We had one last year, Brian Baca, phenomenal student athlete, led Division III in a lot of stat categories. Strong Christian, but he was one of those type of guys. The guys just love playing for him. I think that's important. Then the next thing is developing them. We do a lot of stuff. One thing we do, fortunately, we're at a Christ-centered university, so we can talk about Christ all I want to. I always did anyway because, I mean, God's going to take care of everything. So if they fire me at a public school, guess what? I'll just get a job somewhere else. So I knew God would place me where he needed me. And, what we do is we do different discipleship with our players. And that's been we've actually done coaches outreach. I think it's a Southern-based deal. It's kind of like FCA. But we meet with those guys, and the kids you could tell who kind of starts opening it up. Then guys get vulnerable. They start telling you about their life stories, what their struggles are. And then they just create that type of bond, that brotherhood. I mean, it's unlike any team I've been on, because now these guys starting to feel like they're really family. And that's the whole key. And it's been unique here than anywhere I've been, just because of that discipleship aspect that we brought to it.
That's fascinating. That relationship amongst players, amongst coaches, how important vulnerability is in those relationships. I think that's something that's overlooked, by a lot of coaching staffs and players in the football industry, because we got egos, we got testosterone, we're all men. And so we don't want to be vulnerable or expose ourselves or the weak parts of ourselves to our friends. We don't want to be made fun of. We don't want to be the butt end of all the jokes, but when you open yourself up like that, it allows for a relationship that is so much deeper, and it allows you to fight so much more for that guy. And when you know that your teammates and coaches accept you for you at the foundation, that's really powerful, really powerful.
It makes all the difference. We were, we brought in different speakers, and when those guys start feeling, when they start, especially coming from coaches. I mean, if a coach says, I'll sit in here. Before last year I had the receivers. Now we've kind of done different groups, so we've kind of mixed everybody up. So now our groups are, instead of just having your position group, now you're mixed in with linemen are in here, D linemen. Basically, one of our coaches says, "Hey, I coach the secondary, but I really don't know that offensive lineman that well." So we started mixing up seniors through freshmen, and some guys are quiet. The group started to open up a little bit, but it's like you said, because we are, as men, we have a tough shell. But it's an awesome thing when you see guys come out. And then when I'll sit here, we'll do icebreakers on different things and different topics. And I'll tell them something I did. And they're like, "Whoa, Coach, you did that?" I said, "Yeah, back in the day, this is before I saved. So understand, we all sin." But then bringing in Damon West is kind of a big talk right now. Damon West is who's done the coffee bean story. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't, no.
A lot of the colleges right now start off at Clemson talking to them, and he's probably hit about half of the major D1 schools just as a speaker. He's hooked up with the energy bus guy.
Eric? Wait, I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah. But anyway, Damon West was a college quarterback at North Texas. Unbelievable athlete, and so he graduated, ended up going in finance, was doing really well, and then he gets he has a bad meth habit, and he starts stealing, and he's like one of the biggest burglars in one of the richest area in Dallas, and which is called Uptown area, and he is the Uptown burglar, and basically they catch him after like 2 years, and he's he decides to go. Well, they sentenced him to life pretty much. It was kind of unheard, but the judge wanted to said something. So he goes into prison, and his parents said, basically, before you do this, you have to you got to be yourself, and you got to make sure you don't change, don't join any of the gangs, don't because they'll just ruin your life.
Right.
So he wrote a book on the coffee bean, basically don't let the environment affect you. Let you affect the environment. And it's really awesome. But he came and talked to our guys, and a guy just talk about his experience and what he went through. And again, you see this guy that was a D1 quarterback, that was a stud, had everything in front of him, and just being vulnerable, talking about everything that he did and what he screwed up on. Yeah, it's big.
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. And so, how has that development been going on your team? I mean, how did you guys finish? I mean, you didn't recruit those guys, right, in your first year. So how's it been going into your first year recruiting? And, I mean, what's the status of the program right now?
It's really been good. Like I said, when I got here in the spring 2 years ago, we had 60 guys in the off season. And like any program, you got to have continuity. I mean, like I said, Mayper and Baylor and Hardin-Simmons, I mean, they have JV programs, but there's 200 something guys in the program. We're not going to have a JV program. We're going to make sure. Yeah, it's insane. It's a lot of numbers. So like graduate assistants are coaching those guys. I mean, it gives them an opportunity, but we've done the JV thing at different schools, and it's a different opinion. But so when we got here, we had 60, and of course, some of those guys are just average players. But to get really good, you got to have continuity. You have to have larger senior classes. Well, this last year, the first year I was here, I think we had like 12 in the senior class. And this last year, we had 7. 2 of them got injured, so they got medical redshirt, so we're back. But next year, I believe we're at 17 or 19 in our senior class. And then the following year, we're going to be at 35, maybe even higher than that. So as long as we keep about 30-something in our senior classes, now you start to develop, like you said, you develop that camaraderie. So just the numbers have gone up on that. We've like I said, we went from 60 to 80 to 100 this spring. We're going to be affected, obviously, from the pandemic because of just financial situations from some of the kids. But what we've done is we wanted to make sure we engaged them. Besides football, because you can play football anywhere. I mean, you know that. You've been all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's a different experience wherever you're at. I mean, it's awesome. So to me, I wanted to make sure there's something that just kept the guys here. So we do fun stuff throughout the time, and that's been a big thing for us. Like during fall camp, we're up on the top practice field, and we have our stadiums kind of sunken down below, and so we roll out this tarp, and I'm sitting there talking about the Navy SEALs, about going through water and pushing yourself to the limits and not leaving a brother behind, and you just got to keep on pushing your body because you go extra hard, and they're thinking they're about to run like crazy. You know how fall camp was. You get done with practice, and it's like, oh, man, what are we running today? So, so we get ready, and I said, all you got to do is keep up with me, and I run a bunch. So next thing we know, we turn around the corner, and we got a slip and slide. So we go right down the slip, and we slip and slide for like 30, 40 minutes. And I kind of picked that up by one of my teammates in college, Blake Anderson at Arkansas State. They did that with their team. So I was like, that's pretty cool. We could do that too. So we do that. We have dodgeball tournaments. Coaches are undefeated. We might have got knocked off this year because we had a few openings. So we were kind of short on the coaching staff. So the pandemic probably saved us from a dodgeball defeat. But, so 2 years we've had – I mean, think about that. Think about being able to peg your coach. So I tell that to recruits. I said, God, just think about all the work he put you through, and now you could even pick the head coach. But then they all smile and they laugh about it. But I said, just remember, we get to peg you also.
I can't believe y'all are still undefeated, man. That's fantastic.
I mean, it's 2 years. So, and then we what else we do? We did a kickball. Get done with practice early and have a kickball, short kickball tournament. Kickball's awesome. I mean, last time we played it was back in middle school. So we try to do stuff. One thing that the guys love, it's insane how much they love it. we start off with a fastball, basically ones on ones after we stretch. You get 4 plays, score, it's over with. If defense gets a turnover, it's over with. But either it's 4 plays or 1 play, and so we get lined up and we do fastball flips. So basically, offense is on defense, defense is on offense. We got scout cards, and those guys go nuts over that. So just different ways to get them engaged. So that's kind of can't remember when we started talking about, but yeah, how we're doing. So we're making strides.
Well, and even along those lines, Coach, like it sounds like having fun is a big part of who you are as a coach. And do you feel like in programs that you've been in previously, do you feel like there's organizations that weren't having enough fun, and did that reflect on how the players played for them and played for the coaches?
Yeah, I'm a big Dabo Swinney guy, and I see him doing a lot of stuff. And then Pete Carroll, he was kind of did a bunch of annex when he was up at USC, I guess. That were fun and engaging. And then, like I said, Blake Anderson, a good friend of mine at Arkansas State, he's doing that as a head coach. You just see different things, dressing up and having a Halloween contest in Halloween, just different things. So just having fun with it. And, yeah, you just see, we want to be positive. If you're having fun, you're positive. There's no negativity, and that's pretty big for us. So, yeah, I mean, you see different teams that we face against when they hit kind of adversity. You see when they start bickering on the sidelines, you can tell they're just kind of defeated. And so when we got here, you're kind of talking about how we've gone along. So the 2 teams we'd lost to the first year, I've never seen it before. We just didn't show up to play. It's the exact same team we were playing. I mean, they were just like us. And so my whole thought process was I don't know what we have to do, but we got to get over this mindset. So I kind of put a target on that date. Now, we didn't do that well this past year against them, but we competed. And it's like we fought the whole time, where the last year I thought we kind of gave up, it looked like. And then against Mary Hardin Baylor, we played them really well. The first year, we played them pretty good. I mean, the score, I think, is like a 4-touchdown score difference. But we weren't really in that game the first year. Last year, I mean, it was 12 to 7, I think, or something. The kid kicks like a 52-yard field goal right before halftime. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, he does a great job. So we come out second half, we drive, we move across midfield. So we're going to basically cut it to – I think we're going to cut it to a 5-point game. So it must have been a little bit higher. But anyway, kids reaching for extra yards, one of our really good receivers, and the ball pops out. They go down and score. And then we get in the red zone, and our running back, that to me was one of the best running backs in Division III, fumbles the ball. And then we throw a pass to the running back. We were picking on the backer, and it ricochets off his hand, and they pick 6. And just things imploded. And against a national, powerhouse, you can't turn the ball over.
No.
On the field, we've seen it. But the biggest thing is, like I said, just relationships throughout campus. You just see guys, everybody's hanging out with each other. Everybody likes coming around here. So I know some places sometimes it's like, boy, do I want to go get after it today. It's just having that passion, that excitement of being around your brothers. So
no doubt.
And to me, the step that we took now, basically we created a kind of a leadership group this spring, guys telling you earlier, and it's tremendous. I mean, they're sitting there policing each other. If a guy's not doing something, they get on his butt. If a guy's not going to class, they're the guys out there running. One day we had, I think, 2 kids that had missed a morning workout. And the first time you miss, it's like 100 yards of whatever, rolls, crawls. And they're out there for like an hour after practice. I'm like, God. The kids are doing it. They're like, yeah, I screwed up. They admitted to what they did and say, well, I let the team down, so I'm going to do this and not complain and get better. So that's to me been the biggest step that we've faced this past year.
That's fantastic. When you got guys that can be accountable for their own actions and own up to the things that they fall short on, I think that's so powerful. And then to have the leaders on your team to actually, hold people to a standard is everything. It's everything.
That's what we had some guys from I think it was Army. So we were playing a team down in I can't remember who it was. Could have been down in Georgetown, but by Austin. So we're in Killeen, where Fort Hood is, one of the biggest Army bases around, well, in Texas at least. And one of our coaches, some of his former players went to Army, and they had made the big turnaround from like 2-something to winning the Commander's Cup. And I think it was like 16, 17, somewhere around there. And they were like, so they came in and spoke to our team, the night before the game. And our guys are listening to them. And one of the quarterback, the leader, he said, in that whole deal, what was the difference? He said it all came down to us basically saying, we're taking ownership of this team and we're going to make sure everybody's doing right. So it's kind of validified everything we were moving towards in the direction we were going. So it was awesome.
That's fantastic. Well, and so, along those lines, on the types of players you're coaching, I mean, how does the recruiting differ from the different places that you've been? From East Texas Baptist, you were at Lamar, you were at Southern Arkansas, I believe. How did that vary in the types of kids that you're recruiting and how your approach to actually recruiting them?
Kind of going through so it's been every level, Division I, FBS. Division II, you got to – in those levels, the coaches that really do good in Division II, AA, the guys that can kind of manage their scholarships. Division II especially, because they only have 36 scholarships. Division FCS, one FCS has 63.
Right? Yeah.
And Division I has 85. So basically, if you get a scholarship D1 in the bowl deal, you get you're on full scholarship. And then junior college, we had 32, so you kind of had to manage that. You worked off Pell Grants and different things. And then here, there's no scholarship. It's off of academic money, off of merit, off of leadership. So kind of going through them all. At this level right here, Division III, it's a marathon. I mean, you recruit guys. And when I first started, I actually started on this level, another team in our conference. And I was with I just hired one of my assistants, one of the mentor that I kind of look up to. There's like 3 guys I call when I got coaching questions, and he was one of them. So he retired from high school, and probably the hardest worker I've ever been around. I was able to hire him last year. Does a tremendous job. He's coaching our O-line. But while we were over there, I started just writing letters to the kids, and about every 2 weeks I'd send something out just before you get texts and all that. So to me, the whole recruiting process comes to at this level is kids just have to feel engaged, feel like they're wanted, have some type of contact. The social media and tweeting all that stuff out, that's okay. But really, I mean, if a kid gets a letter in the mail, if a kid gets a phone call, they might not answer all the time, but at least there's some type of communication. And then at this level, there's always someone trying to get your guy because there's nothing locking the guy in here. There's no national letter of intent. So, like we've had a couple guys, one kid that decided going to Grambling, one kid going somewhere else, and you just keep on recruiting them. And luckily, Texas, I mean, everyone knows Texas football. So, I mean, there's tons of guys here. There are really a lot of guys that play everywhere. So it's really finding the ones and that kind of fit what you're about, and then having standards. The junior college level, one of the easiest places to recruit to me was junior college. I mean, you go in there and you say, okay, I want your D1 athlete that has no grades. Okay, I got these 2 guys. Okay, we're good. And then you kind of go through it, and that was really simple. But the thing is, you had to have a standard. Like usually with a lot of guys, especially transfers, there are issues that pop up, and we just kind of had a standard on what they could have done. If there's ever any type of domestic violence or something like that, I wouldn't touch the guy. Other people would in the conference, but I mean, I didn't care how good the kid was. But if there's some type of issue there's something emotionally wrong with the person that's going to spread through the team. If they did something that they might have smoked or something, we're going to give them grace and say, hey, this is what you got to do. I have a great story of a kid that he got into some type of deal at A&M, and I just left the high school, And the coach calls me back up, says, "Hey, coach, how close are you from the school?" I said, "I'm just right down the road." He goes, "Well, such and such from A&M, he's been dismissed from the team. This is what's going to happen on the whole deal." So I go in there, and this joker is enormous. I mean, remember how all those Serbia guys were so big? This guy was big and muscular, and I go walk into his house, and he's got trash bags full of his clothes. There's bars on the windows. It's in the projects. It's
Wow.
and here I am. I mean, you know me, I'm 5'8". I'm not the biggest in stature. And this guy had just gotten some – anyway, so talked to our president, our head coach, and he says, "Yeah, let me talk to the president." And the president says basically, okay, he's on super probation. If he does one thing wrong, he's done. Well, he ended up being one of the best leaders at the junior college level, ended up going to Arkansas State.
Wow.
Played there. Well, when they finally sentenced him, this was after he got finished playing, he got sentenced to a year in prison. Well, he got drafted by the Browns and the Bengals, I think the Bengals, and they kept his rights while he was in prison, which
Wow.
that's a testament to the type of person he is. So there's a story just awesome. So you got to kind of feel what different things were, what the situation was. But, yeah, just have a standard of what you want in the program. I mean, really trying to find positive, energetic people that are passionate about football. At this level, I mean, if you're not passionate about it, you're paying to go to school. I mean, that's what Division III ball is all about. So it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, even as you say that, I say that all the time about, the international game, which you have experience in as well, football in Europe specifically where we both were. And, these kids aren't getting famous from playing football. It's not popular in those countries. So for them to play it, they've really got to love that sport, And as you were saying that about Division III, I mean, it's kind of the same. I mean, you're investing to play, but you're still playing at a solid level, at a collegiate level, and you got to be all in because otherwise it's not gonna be worth it for you once you're putting in all that effort.
Right, yeah, because practices, I mean, some practices are fun, some, you're kind of tired and you got to get through that. But, yeah, it's like you said, internationally, I mean, you're sitting there and I had guys that were older than me and guys that were in their 40s.
Yep.
And, I mean, you know how it is. And so those guys says, "Oh, coach, I love it." I said, "Okay, here we go. Let's get going."
It's a totally different mentality over there, man. I mean, yeah, I think the oldest guy that I encountered was 50, and he was starting center for a team in Barcelona, Spain. And it's like, I'm 28, and I can't even fathom playing right now, much less 22 years from now.
Yeah, what was great was we had a guy that he was enormous. He was a D tackle for us at Belgrade, and our center had to go. You know how it is with practice over there. Some guys have to work, some guys don't. You may practice it. Like we started at 8 o'clock at night, and then we bumped to 9 o'clock, then we bumped to 10 o'clock. So we're getting done with practice at midnight.
Wow.
So we're out there, and our center was a security guard, and he goes, "Coach, there's this concert that, I mean, I can make some good money." And, the money over there they didn't make a lot of money. So, you can't say, "Oh, come on." So he goes and does that. So I'm playing center because I'm the only one. We didn't have a backup center. I'm the only one that can snap the ball, and I want to get practice kind of moving. I look over at the guy his name was Itzo. If you may know Itzo, but I said, Itzo, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to touch you. Okay, that means you're blocked. If you run me over, you will not be playing at all. It's like, "Oh, yes, coach." But Itzo was great. It's like his best practice because he goes, he takes one step and stops.
Yeah, so he's content. He doesn't have to work hard. That's such an awesome experience that we both share. I played in France, Germany, and then my last year was in Serbia, and you coached in Serbia. And like when you tell people that you were over there and there's American football in Eastern Europe, in Serbia, people are dumbfounded. They can't believe it. Serbia of all places. And how was your experience there? Because I had the time of my life, honestly.
No, it was awesome. I mean, you didn't know what you're getting into because you're thinking Eastern Europe, and I was really surprised. I mean, seeing the country's beautiful, the fortresses, the castles.
Yes.
I mean, it was beautiful. The people there were they were awesome. I mean, it was one of the best experiences I had. Now, you'd have guys out there smoking cigarettes before practice. You'd be like, hey, come on now.
Come on, guys.
But it was a great experience. And they were just hungry for knowledge.
Yes.
It's like pee-wee athletes. They start learning how to do something. They just want to learn more and more. And, they gave it all you had out there. I mean, the guys you played against, some of those guys, if they would have grown up in America, I mean, they'd be D1 athletes because they would have been doing it from day one.
Most definitely.
But just the talent level, they don't have the innate ability just to react immediately.
Right.
I mean, that when we played those championship games, the two Americans had to play both ways.
Yeah.
You had no option. So
no option, man.
Guys, I said it's nonstop. So they're gasping for air, and then you're drinking what was that? It's like non-alcoholic beer stuff that those guys would drink for carbohydrates.
I don't know. I can't remember.
It was like Voss, not Voss.
Okay. I can't remember. Yeah, Interesting.
Remember. But yeah, just some of the different things. It was quite. But I love the way they did that over there because basically to me it was a fall off from NFL Europe, and some of those some of those organizations wanted to keep it going and to limit it just to two Americans. I mean, it's a great experience for the Americans to go over there, but basically they're just teaching them to have a love for football, and the following there is unreal. I mean, they're so gung ho about it.
They are,
and they follow the teams everywhere. So yeah, that was a blast.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I think what's missing the most is quality coaching, and across international football as a whole, it's tough to get coaches like yourself. Like the fact that Belgrade got you was massive for them. I had Coach Doug Atkins, who was awesome in Novi Sad when I played there. But there's a select few of really, really talented coaches, and then there's a disconnect because just so many of these coaches haven't seen the highest levels in the U.S. And so, the more quality Americans that we can get shipped over there and the more events and camps that we can do to educate, that's really, I think, what's going to push the game forward.
Yeah, it's for me, it was a God thing. I mean, I was at Navarro. I could have stayed there forever. We had administration change, and I want to be able to minister to kids, and certain things were being shut off. I mean, she just didn't agree with a lot of things we were doing, and to me, I can minister anywhere, and if you start taking that away, it's not good. And then she was taking away scholarships. I was like, it's just not worth hanging around. And then Goran had posted something. I asked a buddy, I said, you know anything about this? He goes, well, there's a guy that coached over there, but I mean, yeah, you just got to make sure the ownership, and they're gonna pay you, number one, and kind of what the accommodations are, and if you have control over everything. And yeah, so I talked to him, and he said we go through this whole interview process, and we get done
with Goran.
With Goran, yeah, and we get done with it, and he goes okay, and said okay, and I asked all the questions I had to ask, working out the contract. So when will the decision be made, whether it's offered to me or not? He goes, well, I'm the owner, so if you want the job's yours. So I said, oh, great, okay. So it was I was trying to get things worked out in Navarro, and he basically said, we got you a flight ticket. If for some reason you can't show up, just refund us the money that you get from it. And I tried to push one last push at it. Then I had everything packed. Didn't work things out like that. Thursday, Friday, resigned over the holidays, Christmas break, and I was flying out on Monday. It was crazy. It was fast.
That's tight turnaround.
Yeah, but we kind of knew that was the direction we were going to. And then, but yeah, it was basically God kind of opening the door. And, when you're in college coaching, you get wrapped up into it. And I like to spend a lot of time with the family, but as a head coach, you get wrapped up into it more, like you're on the phone at nights, and you try to eliminate that. And I've done really good at that, just when I leave the office, that's it. But so one of the big things was be with the family. So after we got done playing that season, my wife, she teaches online. So when we're at Lamar, that's another thing, because we played against you when we were at Lamar.
Yes, we have so many random connections. It's awesome.
So when she's been teaching online, so we go over there, and it's enough to live off of. So she comes over and we homeschooled the girls. We finished the football season, homeschooled the girls, and traveled for a year. And it was so unbelievable. And all you got to do is take a leap of faith. I know people get so wrapped up into this is my career path and this is where I got to go. I got to keep on moving. I'm a great example of it. I just said, God's going to be in control of this. Went over to Europe, came back. I was in high school for a year and a half, trying to get back into college, but didn't want to move my kids out of Texas. So I wasn't just going to go anywhere. And then this just kind of happened. It's crazy how it all went down. And, same thing. My buddy I was telling you earlier, it's funny, came back to Blake again. But Blake Anderson at Arkansas State, he got out of coaching for a little bit for some different reasons and basically worked with his dad. And then one day someone called him up, one of his buddies, and so he starts coaching back again. And then 3 years later, he's the head coach at Arkansas State.
It's crazy.
If you let God just take control of things are going to happen. And I would say anybody that's got an opportunity to go over there and coach, go over there and play, because they want younger coaches, really. They want, because basically you get a lot of guys that are kind of in the retirement gig, and they say, well, I go over there. And that was kind of a negative from some of those guys. Well, this guy just coming over vacation. He's not really passionate about it. And there are older people that are passionate, obviously. So to find the right ones, like Dan, obviously he got after it pretty hard. So it's and I encouraged a bunch of guys all the time when I was here. I said I would jump on it. In fact, our receiver here was a 2-time All-American, was over in Turkey. And I hadn't talked to him since. So I'm guessing he might still be over there.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, players, coaches, a lot of them aren't even aware of the opportunity, or they don't trust the opportunity, or they see that there's not tens of thousands of fans in the stadium. They see that there's not a big salary. But the way that I relate it is, you've been grinding on football for the last 10 to 15 years of your life. If you don't make the NFL, use this opportunity to see the world, to let football pay you back for once,
Oh, yeah.
You're going over and you're practicing 2 or 3 times a week and you're traveling the world. It's a paid it's a paid vacation while playing the sport and growing the sport that you love.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, we were in Turkey, we were in Austria, we were in I'm getting mixed up where we
Slovenia, probably.
Slovenia.
Croatia,
Czech Republic, Croatia.
Czech Republic.
Yeah, there's so many places. The Final Four was hosted at our place, but the year before that, they'd actually gone to France to play in the Final Four. So, you go all over. It was awesome. Cool. So we're traveling, and we were in – so when we left, we started – because of the Schengen Treaty, we were bouncing from country to country. So we went over to the UK and then came back and went France, Italy, Croatia. Croatia is beautiful.
So amazing.
Unreal.
It might be my favorite country in all of Europe, actually.
It is. So we stayed in the northern part. We stayed in Rijeka, right on the Italy border. Then we were in Split, right in the center, where the Diocletian's Palace is, right there on the water. Then we were down in
Dubrovnik.
Dubrovnik, yeah, where they filmed Game of Thrones and Star Wars and all that.
Stunning.
Amazing. And then Montenegro, we took a trip over to Montenegro. But it's so beautiful, and you don't even know. And the coolest thing I thought, and this is the point I kind of drive home to people, is the culture. There's some things that are a little different, but the people that you think are just cold and standoffish, they are so welcoming.
Yes.
The Serbian people, I was amazed. You got to think back in the Yugoslavian war. So U.S. that went in and bombed everything there to break Yugoslavia up. And
exactly.
Here, they're just fascinated by Americans. The family I got connected with were awesome. They're friends for life. I'd hung out with them all the time. And it's you just never know. And then just, this, but just the culture of being outside, hanging out in a cafe or on the street. It's you don't get that in the U.S. New York, I guess, because you're walking around, but people don't talk to each other there.
No, exactly. And like you said, it's cool. I was gonna say it's cool because, like you said, the people in Serbia are big, they're strong, they look cold, they look angry all the time. But like you said, I never really had a bad experience with anyone there. you know, even after what we did do to them with NATO in the late 90s. And and I think Serbia has the most beautiful woman in the world. I fell in love a couple times there, man.
Yeah, I was like a midget. I was a midget. Yeah. I think I need to go to Japan next time. Where I'm like the average height, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Mexico, so Mexico, everyone's short here. I mean, I'm 6'1", and everyone thinks I'm like a giant. So it's yeah. But so, Coach, you know, as we wrap up here, why did you feel like you got a calling to go back to college once you returned from Europe, or you know, what's your why back to the college game? I know that, you know, it's longer hours. I know it can be more stressful, but you know, what makes you return to that stress and to take that on?
You know, it's fun. I mean, it's not a job. It's about relationships, and to me, the relationships you have, like I said, I was in high school for a year and a half, and I love the kids there, but it's just, you know, you have a different relationship. Like with us, like I said, doing our discipleships with the kids, and you start getting vulnerable. I mean, guys, you start connecting to them, and these are young men. It's not like it's a high school kid. They start thinking on their own. They don't have their mom or dad behind. They start coming to you for different ideas, or when things are going wrong, or how to get help. And it's just that relationship you have with the players at the college level, because you're seeing them as they're becoming men, as they're becoming leaders. Right. And it's fun. And then I love recruiting. I mean, getting out on the road, and like right now during this pandemic, to me, this is like the lazy man's recruiting time, because I want to go out and hit a school after school after school, see this coach and talk to the kids and introduce myself to them. And now all these guys are just on the phone. So it's like some guy could sit on his couch and call a guy, and you kind of get to know him somewhat. But I mean, it's different when you see him in person and just interact. So that's the thing. I love that. Now it gets tiresome. You get to a point, and then all of a sudden it's time to crank football back up again. So it kind of keeps on cycling. But yeah, college football, there's nothing else like it. And just to think that I could be doing this, I mean, coaching football at the college level, and getting paid, it's insane. I mean, making a living off this. So it's I love it. It's a blast. If you have an inclination, like when I was in college, I was going to be a doctor at first. And then I was making like a C in biology, and I was like, well, and I make A's and everything else. I was like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go to medical school at, so this is probably not a good idea. Went to accounting. My whole family, my dad's an accountant, my uncle, the accounting professor. I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I can just sit behind a desk all day. I mean, that'd just be boring. So the thing is, I got work all day long. We watch video, but man, at 3:30, I mean, it's like out the door on the practice field, get a football in you. You're just playing. It's awesome that you get to play a game and do this for a living.
That's fantastic. And yeah, you know, I've been getting my own call, I think, to get back into coaching, and it'll see where that plays out. But, you know, the appeal of being able to impact 80 to 100 young men each and every year and develop them from the time they're 18 to the time they're 23, and the impact that they're going to have on everyone. I mean, that's really what's appealing. You know, when you look at what types of jobs you can go and get in the world, like you said, accounting or finance or, you know, whatever it may be, like, you're not going to make that impact. No. And you're not going to have as much fun, you know, and be around like-minded people. And there's tremendous power in that. And so congratulations on everything, you know, that you've accomplished, Coach. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you. And I look forward to continuing to see your career grow.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's great knowing you. I didn't like playing against you the second time. The first time we got you. so I'll get that in college. We got you in college somehow.
Yes.
But,
yes.
The Serbia, you're a heck of an athlete. I know it's you and well, I'm going blank on our receiver.
What's his name? Tony.
Yeah,
Tony.
Tony, the man with no Facebook, they called him. Yeah, you two guys going at it. It was like both quarterback. Our guy was out, and y'all's quarterback got hurt. Like the first quarter. So now there's these two Wildcat quarterbacks, and whoever had the ball last.
Who's going to win?
You did. You scored the last one. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. There he goes. I said, "Oh, I was crushed."
Man, that was like one of the hardest games I'd ever played in my life. I mean, like you said, we were all going both ways. It was super hot in the middle of the Serbian summer. We were just going back and forth. And, yeah, it came down in the last 15 seconds. I retired after that play. I haven't played since.
Yeah, that's a good one to retire on.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, it was great. So, yeah, great knowing you. And remember, I did talk to you about a spot a while back ago, so you never know.
Yes. Well, hopefully this virus stuff, goes away soon. So there's a season and everything opens up, and I will absolutely be considering that if that's on the table. So
sounds good.
Awesome.
Well, you enjoy surfing or whatever you're doing down there.
I'm quarantining, Coach. I'm quarantining.
There's nothing in the ocean. You're okay out there.
Yeah, believe me, I am getting to the beach. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
But, all right, man. Well, take care.
Okay.
That's another episode of the football. That's another episode of the Football Excellence Podcast. Y'all take care and talk soon.